Rise and shine, baby. Open water, it's here. This is gonna be the first open water video of the year. It's Mac, we're back. Today we are going after some stock trout. This is our first lake. We may end up fishing 2 different lakes today. This is a lake I've never been to before. Totally new to me. So we're gonna try throwing out some baits. I got Emily with me today. She was in the Aurora Pod video with me. So we're gonna get a few different baits out there, cast around, and see what we can do. Got some crazy bird sounds in the background. It is a beautiful morning. Gonna get some baits out there and see what happens. Lake number 1, let's see what happens. All right, so we got the cameras and stuff set up. Like I said, Emily's with us today, so we're gonna run 2 different setups. Emily's gonna be on a still rig, and I'm gonna go chuck some fluff. Gonna go cast this little hair jig around, see what happens. But for the still rig, Emily's gonna start out with here is basically a slip rig of sorts, little Lindy rig. Pretty good, pretty effective rig for stock trout usually. So we're gonna get this out there, little egg weight, bead, swivel, just straight to a hook. Gotta pinch that barb yet. And then we're actually gonna put a little row bag on there. I tied up yesterday, so gonna get this out there. With stock trout, you don't usually need to go too far from shore, especially this time of year. They're gonna be kind of moving up towards the north shorelines usually wherever the water's getting the warmest, where the bugs are hatching and everything's going on. So gonna get some eggs on here and get it out there. So as I mentioned, we're gonna throw on some egg sack for Emily. So what these are is basically just, these are actually lake trout eggs, and I got them wrapped up in a little mesh bag here, and I got a few floaties in there just to help them float up. So the way that'll work is basically that egg sinker sits on the bottom, and then this row bag will just float up about a foot off the bottom, and then those fish can come in, scoop it up. So these are all stock trout, like I said, so they're not typically spawning properly like how natural trout would. So usually they just kind of drop their eggs every year, and unsuccessfully they don't hatch. So usually they're always feeding on eggs. So we're gonna throw out an egg sack and see what happens. So you can see there, we got that egg sack rigged up. Gonna get this out there for Emily. Just want to make sure it's floating properly. Perfect. So, like I said, you don't got to get out too far for the stock trout, so we're just gonna get it out past the edge of the weeds here. Perfect. And with this, like, it's basically a slip rig, so we actually usually leave the spool right open and just let those fish feed line. So as soon as they start taking line, you're just gonna reel down and set the hook. Doing a bit of bushwhacking. Got Emily set up over there, just at the launch. And I'm gonna kind of work the shorelines a bit, see if we can pull something in. Chuck and fluff. The ice is probably literally just off this lake like a couple days ago, so it's still super fresh. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's so much minnows here pushed up like super shallow and like maybe a foot of water. So like I said, usually ice out, you're looking at fishing pretty much any fish super shallow like this, whether it's pike, walleye, stock trout. Wherever the water's warming up the most is where you'll usually find those fish. So I've been kind of working the shorelines here, just hiking around, casting. This lake seems super shallow from the shorelines at least. So I'm kind of having a hard time getting out into, like, getting my casts out into like more than like 2-3 feet of water. Not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but I'd kind of like to be able to reach my bait into the deeper water at least, to help try to pull fish up shallower at least. But I haven't been seeing any activity. Like, I've seen a few minnows and stuff like that, but I haven't seen any activity in a sense of bigger fish possibly pushing minnows shallow, bigger fish surfacing, nothing like that yet. So I'm gonna keep working down the shoreline a bit, and then we have some fallback plans, some other lakes that we're gonna try too, in case this doesn't pan out. So far, I'm still optimistic, but Haven't seen any sign of real trout life so far. We just had our first bite. Just as I was saying, it was looking like there's no life. Oh yeah, you can hit it now. It's taking line. Emily's got him. Hooked up. Sweet. Just try to steer him over here to the open water here. Going around the weeds. First bite and first hookup of the day. Of course, Lady Luck, Emily got it. And that was on the egg sac. And what we actually did there is we actually recasted and cast it out a little bit further to a little bit deeper water. Like I said, usually as soon as the ice is off, these fish are super shallow, but so far we haven't been seeing much in the shallows. Yeah, just keep trying to steer them over there. Might get tricky. Oh, I see them out there dodging around. There's a lot of weeds coming up here, so it'll be a little bit hard steering it around. And it doesn't look like it's cooperating.
No.
Easy. Perfect. First fish of the day.
Nice.
That's a really pretty fat rainbow.
Nice.
Super fat, super pretty. Let's see where that hook is. Oh, almost let him out. All right, the hook is out. You can see there, that was on the little spawn sack. A little bit of a tangle show now, but that's all good. Right this way. What do we got for length there? Just under 20 inches, 19 and a half. Here, you want to hold them up to the camera, Emily? Just be careful with them. All right, so that's our first fish of the day. Beautiful, rosy red, rosy pink, I guess. Rainbow trout, gorgeous.
Really nice.
Super fat gut on it. Get her back in there. She's charged up and off to the races.
Yes.
Sweet. First open water fish of the year. I was just going to come over and say, you want the good news or the bad news?
Why, the bad news are going to have to move?
Well, I was going to say, the good news is the bad news isn't that bad. So we're going to try putting on a little bit bigger of a row sack here. And whenever I put these on, I always try to pop a couple eggs just to let more scent out. And I always try to like bury the hook like absolute best I can. Just so those fish aren't seeing anything, right? Because you want it to be pretty low profile. But obviously you still want to be able to hook those fish. So, like so, we got that big fat roll bag on there. And I don't know, I always try to put like the knot where you tie them, always kind of in the bend of the hook, just so it's hidden too. So we'll check that out there. You want to cast it out there? You want me to?
Oh, yeah.
Just cast it out as far as you can, because that last one was out as far as I could get it. Perfect. Okay, so between these two,
This one.
okay. So we're going to try casting a spinner. That way I can get it out a little bit further. And hopefully compete with Emily. So, trying a new lake hasn't been a total bust so far.
That was worth the wait.
And she didn't even have to walk and beat through the bush like I was. That's cool.
Sometimes it pays to just stay in one spot.
Yep. Alright, so we got the spinner. I'm going to go a little bit away from Emily. Just so, like, I'm doing an active presentation. She's doing a still presentation. So I don't want to interfere with her fish over there. Because sometimes fish behave a lot different when there's active bait around compared to a stationary bait. So with this, I should hopefully be able to cast it a bit further. A bit, not a lot, but a bit better. I think I just saw a fish surface out there in the middle of that bay. So that's a good sign too. Sometimes I find with these stock trout lakes, they can be super like time sensitive. Like I know down like where I'm from, there's a few lakes I fish, and it's like there's a good bite window every day, but sometimes it's just like an hour or two every day where they're biting, and it can be mayhem. But you're basically washing hooks in between those times, right? So you got to keep that in mind too when trying new places, right? It could just be not there at the prime time, or could just be off day, or the lake could just suck. Or option D, you could suck. Oh my god, I just hooked up. I don't think I was recording that. I just hiked around over here to fish on top of this beaver hut. And then I got over here and a couple beavers just jumped out of it. And then my first cast, and I hooked up into a little rainbow here. Not near as big as Emily's, but it's a rainbow nonetheless. Rainbow off the beaver hut. Sweet, and that one crushed the little spinner. Easy there, little fella. I don't know if I can get down there. We gotcha. Look at that little chromer. Hooked right in the chin. Super nice. Super fat. Like, look how fat that thing is. Just gorgeous. Alright. See ya. Fishing on top of a beaver hut. Sweet. Yep. I'm excited for open water. It's one of those things, like, you ice fish all winter, and then you're excited for open water, and then you open water fish all summer, and then you're excited for winter, you know? It's just nice to have a little bit of a change. Well, maybe we won't tell Emily that she was right about picking this color spinner. Have to tell her we caught it on the black one. It's amazing with it being so quiet how you can just hear so much life between the squirrels just going crazy in the bush, the loons, everything. It's beautiful. I think this beaver wants to go home. Well, I'm gonna let this beaver go home. He's getting a little mad out there, keep the tail slapping at me, so I'm gonna let him be. I'm gonna go check on Emily. Tell her the news, how I caught that fish on a black spinner, and see what she says. Alright, so we are packing up and we're gonna head to another lake there. I caught that one fish over on the beaver hut. Emily caught that one here. So it hasn't been a total bust so far, but we're gonna go do some exploring. Hopefully find some more open water. See you guys at the next destination. We are at spot number 2, lake number 2 rather. This lake seems to still have a bit of ice on her. You can see here, there's still quite a bit of ice here. I'm gonna do another drive around the lake and see if there's any more open spots on other access points. But right here, there's almost enough open water to like soak some baits and stuff, but I don't know if you can see on the camera here, but there's a little skim of ice just from last night. So our baits won't really break through that yet. So we might end up fishing some other stuff and then coming back here and trying it again later once that opens up a bit more. But for now, we're gonna go searching for some more open water, see what we can find. All right, so we're going to a new spot. I hiked down before we grabbed all the gear and drug it all down here to make sure, but there is no ice down here. It's wide open. It looks promising. It's a bit of a trek in here. So, got the troops.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Slugging some gear. So, hopefully we get there and we're not sweating too bad. You can see it. Beautiful. Gorgeous. We made it. All right, we are at the spot. We made it out. I am sweating. Emily just ran back to grab something. She dropped something on the trail, so she'll be back here right away. I'm gonna throw out her rod for now while I get all this camera gear organized. So right now we're kind of, obviously, you can kind of see by the shoreline, and you'll see as the clips kind of keep rolling here, but we're on a lot of rock here, which I mean isn't necessarily what I want to be on, but it's open water, so it's kind of a big pro. It's going to keep us here a bit, but we're going to give this a go. And then I actually, when I came down to check out if there was ice here or not, I walked down a bit further, and there's a bit more of a weedy section down there, so we might go there after, depending how the rocks produce. But I got that egg sack on here, same as we had before. I'm going to throw it out there and see what happens. Again, this lake too, the water is so clear. And like I said, we just leave open bail. Leave the bail right open, and just when those fish come and grab it, they'll just start peeling line out, and then, you know, reel down and set that hook. Alright, so while Emily's bait soaks there, I'm going to start chucking around the spinner that I caught that other little rainbow on another lake. We'll see if any more fish want it here. This lake has rainbows and brook trout, so we have a chance at a couple different species here, which is kind of nice. I'm actually more confident in brookies here because this is just a little bit deeper of an area, and usually in the spring the brookies are still kind of a little bit deeper, I've found at least. Alright, so a little update. Hiked in. Spot sucks, or we suck. One of the two. But we're struggling. Haven't had a single bite, single follow, nothing. I'm actually soaking a dead bait right now too. But me and Emily are going to have a quick little nutrition break, make a sandwich or two. Then we actually are debating heading back to the first lake we started at. So I think we'll probably end up going there. There's one other spot I kind of want to check out in this lake, just where the wind's kind of pushing up. But we'll see how far of a hike in it is. And if not, we'll definitely be at the other lake shortly. Well, we made it back to the first spot. So we're gonna give it a go. We're gonna walk down this way a little bit and try off this little point. Alright, so since it's kind of more midday now, I'm gonna just soak a bait too. So me and Emily are both gonna just be on some still presentations. We're gonna chuck out a couple spawn sacks, couple egg sacks, couple roe bags, whatever you want to call them. We're gonna chuck them out there, soak them, see what happens. Bad news, you dropped it anyway. Oh, I do still got it. Maybe not. No, there is a fish on there.
Okay.
My line did start going, but I thought it was the wind. But then I pulled it in, and then I thought it was just snagged, but it turns out to actually be a fish. Fighting super weird. It's wrapped up or something weird. Not too happy. Well, it's all over the line here. Pretty sure got your reel through the line. Let's see it. Oh! Wipe out on camera. Alright. Trout number 3 of the day. Just a little guy. Look at her back, she's bleeding a little bit. Gone. Perfect. So that was absolutely utter chaos. Got a wipeout and we got a wicked tangle. So yeah, I was holding my rod and I thought that I felt something pull the line out, but I wasn't too sure, so we got the cameras on. And then it stopped, so I just started reeling in, figuring it probably just took the bait or got my rig all messed up. And then to my surprise, there was still something on there. But it didn't really feel like a fish at first. It felt more like I was just tangled in the weeds. But then she started fighting. Then we wiped out, got a bad tangle. We're getting back after it. I was there just reeling up to go to recast because we got Emily got her tangle out now. So I was just reeling up to recast, and then one just bit as I was kind of reeling in, I guess. Not a big one by any means. I think that's it. Good little guy. You want to keep one or no?
Sure.
Actually?
Sure.
There you have it. Another little itty bitty rainbow trout. This one we're gonna keep. I'm gonna bring it home and eat them. Alright, so the day is coming to an end. I just went up and cleaned that fish. Got it taken care of. Ready to rock for dinner tonight. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a little adventure today, a little out of the ordinary. But next video we'll probably be back out in the boat. Hopefully chasing after either big pike, big walleye, big lake trout, one of the big three. So we'll see you guys next video, chasing monsters hopefully.